so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. It is a fabulous Thursday here in the studio. Yep, that's right. I said fabulous. I could say fabulous if I want. I've got magical Mondays, terrific Tuesdays, woo-woo Wednesdays. I feel like fabulous Thursdays is a nice way to round it all out. Well, hold on. What do we got for Friday? We got, I don't know. Alexa runs the show now on Friday, so she needs to come up with something. Alexa, what do you got? Maybe you have something and I haven't heard you say it. Well, you guys let me know if you have any ideas for Fridays. Let me know. Let Alexa know. Let us know in the Positive Heads Facebook group. If you're not in there, it is Positive Heads with an S. Would love to hear from you. And also, I forget sometimes, I think I've only said it a few times. You can find us on Instagram as well, positive_head. So yeah. Follow the show over there. As you guys know, I love my reviews. And the other day I was talking about, Castbox and how I really appreciate what they're doing and actually supporting podcasts. It's like a new thing for us podcasters to get support from the platforms. And I'd mentioned, give us some reviews over there instead of over at iTunes. Well, I started thinking about that. I'm like, that's probably not the wisest thing. Both would be ideal because, iTunes is still the holy grail of all things podcasting. And, by reviewing there, you definitely help us to reach new people. So please continue your iTunes reviews. And also, of course, check us out on Castbox. And I highly recommend that app. There's going to be so many good, exciting, fresh energy flowing into the podcast platform world through that app. So let's see here. I'm going to read a review on iTunes actually today. And this one came in by Mayra Luz-Colin. Love this podcast. I was looking to listen to a podcast every morning as a part of my health and healing journey. So far, every single podcast I've listened to, I felt it's what I needed to hear to keep moving forward in my journey. Great topics, great guests, and great host. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Mayra Luz-Colin, for taking the time to complete the circle of love that, I'm putting out into the world with this labor of love, this wonderful experience that I get to have to share, grow, learn with you all. And definitely appreciate it. Also, before I jump into today's topic, which is the ultimate nature of reality, I'm going to circle back around and sort of touch on the underlying premise of this whole show, understanding, as you hear at the very top of the show in the description, that you are one with this source consciousness that creates and animates all things. And I haven't touched on that sort of a baseline in a while, sort of the reasoning that I've come to for why I believe wholeheartedly that is the case of what's going on here. And so I figured it was a good time to just circle back around, as we do on the show always, and touch on, what the heck is going on with this reality? What are we doing here? And we're going to constantly circle the same topics as we rewire our neural networks to, embody the energy of these concepts and ideas, and at the very least, test them out for yourself. And I always say, if you do that with an open mind, buckle up your seatbelt, because you will be shown some very, very fascinating, magical, inspiring, empowering information and insight from the universe and the feedback that you get. Before I jump into that, one thing that I'm really, really excited, I am done about the 60 plus of us or so of us P-heads have all went through this transformation, the 10-day part of the Purium transformation / cleanse / metabolic reset. And it has been quite a journey for me. I feel really proud to have hardly eaten anything except these shakes and supplements and a few flex foods over 10 days. I actually lost 10-ish pounds. Wasn't really my aim. My aim was to reestablish my relationship with food, but I feel like it's very important that we are paying attention of what it is we put in our bodies, right? I mean, this show has been really working on people's hearts and minds for, 3 years now, but that felt like the weakest chain in the link for me was the, I was healthy-ish, but really this has been such a wonderful experience to sort of realize how much habitual eating I've done and in the past, and how to really just be very mindful of what I'm putting into my system, because we are what we eat. So yeah, it's been such a journey, and I'm going to continue taking the core 4 for forever is my plan. So if any of you guys are interested to learn more about that whole process or in participating yourself, there's constantly new listeners that are deciding to do so. You can check out positivhead.com/transformation. And there's all kinds of, interview with the founder of Purium, a deep dive webinar, a lot of information there. So I would recommend checking that out if you are interested in reestablishing your relationship with food in the easiest way possible. I can say it has been an epic journey for me that I'm so, so thankful that I went on. So highly, highly recommend that. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. Or the content of today's episode, the meat of today's, the broccoli, the vegetable of today's. I'm vegan-ish or vegetarian-ish, pescatarian-ish. So I don't know if it's the meat of today's episode. I don't know. What is it? It's the sustenance of today's episode. And so yeah, let's talk about the ultimate nature of reality and how the heck did I end up here doing this? And, why do I believe what I believe? Well, the whole idea of us being oneness physically and spiritually is one that you can just look as far. First of all, if we've all heard the idea as above, so below, that whole concept, right? Well, we're made of stars. We know that, right? So we know physically you are literally the composite of atoms that once were a star that lived out its entire life cycle for billions of years, died, exploded in that death, dramatic exit from its life as a star, which I believe, by the way, has a consciousness that animates it, right? That you are somehow, of course, tied to and a part of, because it's all Russian nested dolls here. But basically, it then reformed at some point in 13 billion-ish years, we think, out of the dirt into you, and it will one day be something else. And that's just incredibly empowering and insightful to understand that you are literally made of stars. And so that's the first thing when you look at the whole physical aspect of it, and then you start saying, playing with the idea as above, so below, everything's a reflection. Well, so what's going on the spiritual dimension? The consciousness that animates my form, it's the same consciousness that animates your form. It's literally all the same stuff. Separation is an illusion, right? You look at how it's all linked It is, how often have you had an idea and then someone else has the same idea, or you think of something and then all of a sudden someone invents it, right? There's proof that there's a collective consciousness that backs this idea up, that our consciousness is linked. There's some database of information that we're pulling from. Look at the 100th monkey, for example. The 100th monkey I think it was back in the 70s, 60s, where a researcher documented supposedly monkeys on an island that were actually learned a new way to clean sweet potatoes, I think it was. Well, they weren't linked to other monkeys of the same species on the island, on a totally different island. They couldn't swim to each other or anything. At the same time, they documented the same new technique that spread. At first, one monkey, smart, clever monkey, figured it out. Then it spread to the other monkeys, right? And next thing they know, once you reach that tipping point, right, it's like spread into the collective consciousness. At the same time, they see the same thing happening over on another island. We're pretty fascinating, right? So we know Einstein taught, also that time is illusory. You're in the eternal now, right? If you look at, as I said, as Einstein pointed out, Einstein basically proved this. If, you shoot me into outer space at light speed, bring me back a day later, I'm a day older and you've been dead 100 years or something like that. If you saw that movie Interstellar, that's based off of real science. When they were on that one planet and 10 minutes ended up like 20 years on our planet, that's based off real science. So, that's another thing that just, wow. Okay. So time isn't even a real thing. Your 5th birthday party, I believe, is happening on another channel right now. You're just not tuned into that. Right? As is your future self. So that's where you get this idea of, psychic phenomenon and things. These are people who are sensitive to energies. The past certainly affects the now. The future also affects the now, and that information is accessible at times. It's been proven to be accessible at times over and over again throughout history. We're light literally popping in and out of existence. If you look at what's really going on, the particles that make me up, that, this voice you hear, that it's emanating from a being that's made of 99.99999% space. If we zoom in on the atoms that make me up. And then that solid part, the 0.0000001, whatever, it's not solid at all. It's vibrations of energy popping in and out of existence. We don't know where it comes from or where it goes to. It just shows up here, right? And it's intelligent when it shows up here. It is the way I see it, we're experiencing the breathing in and out of God. It is, we look at what they think happened with the Big Bang, right? It was an infinitesimal speck of dense matter that one time, all of a sudden exploded outwards, and it's continuing. That explosion is happening now. It's still spreading out. We're still, hurtling through space at this crazy speed. I forget what it is, right? Ever expanding from that initial explosion, right? One of the theories on how it'll end one day is it will retract back onto itself and collapse. That's like the breathing in and out of God, expansion, retraction. Back in, out. And that's what I believe we do throughout eternity. We separate from the source so that we can have the experience of what it means to be the source, right? If you are love and it is all one, well, that means nothing, right? But give yourself a separation from that. Give yourself amnesia. Forget that you're an eternal being and that you are love and that's all there is. Give yourself context. Give yourself contrast, hate, pain, negativity, amnesia. Make yourself small in a sense compared to the larger part of yourself. Then you have context and contrast to actually make what you are mean something. This is how we do it, I believe. This is Godding. We are the creator and the created rolled into one, I believe. It is, you're both, it's relative truths. From one perspective, you and I are one. From another perspective, you and I are separate. Same with us and the source. From one, we are separate. From one perspective, from another, we are it, right? And what does a creator do? It creates. This is why when you hear about law of attraction and how where thought flow, energy flows, like you create what you think with your beliefs and ideas. And I've proven that in my own life, I feel wholeheartedly. We'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. But this whole process, why the law of attraction? Because we are creators. That's what source, God, higher self, whatever, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that's what it does. It creates, right? It creates with its energy, with its belief. Your thought forms are energy, just like your body is energy, made of energy. It's all just energy. It's all consciousness. I've talked often about our life plays out at the corner of free will and destiny, right? They're alternate versions of ourselves. Speaking of psychic phenomenon, my first psychic reading when I was like 21, the woman says, "Oh, I see you in a cold place like Chicago in business." My jaw hit the floor because I was planning to move to Chicago at that time and work for my uncle in business. And then she said, "But there's this whole other path in music in California." A year later, with the help of some psilocybin mushrooms, I realized I was having my own spiritual awakening and realizing I could create anything, and I wanted to make music, and met someone who said, "You got to be out in California with your music." Once I put a band together, and here we are, right? So different versions, alternate versions. Your life plays out at the corner of free will and destiny. It's destined because it's all already happened, right? There is no time. But God is infinite. So it plays out infinite versions and variations. There's a version of me that ended up in Chicago. That woman, when I sat in front of her, was tapping into the potentials of what I would choose at that moment when I was sitting in front of her, most likely, right? So that's where the free will comes into it. Your life plays out at the corner of free will and destiny. It's all already happened. You have the free will to choose which version of you want to experience. Of course, you want to experience the greatest and grandest version, the most fulfilling, rewarding one. Guess what? You've already been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt. Whether you, no matter how improbable that version is, if you can think it, you can guarantee that the creator has experienced it, right? And even the things you can't think of. So the job becomes to get into vibrational alignment with it in order to see it manifest, right? You be it to see it. Everything's energy. Most people are doing something like work in order to have something like money, in order to be something like happy. You actually be it, and then you'll find yourself doing and having the things that are reflections of it. This is how creation works. This is the formula that teaches you and shows you how to manifest what you want to see in your world. It really is much like a video game. I think it was the founder of Sims, the popular game, that talked about this as well. It's like you were probably a Xbox 10 sitting on some kid's shelf in the future. Like, all the aspects of what's in a video game are happening here. If you've used VR, virtual reality, Oculus Rift recently, I used that for the first time, and I realized, holy moly, this really makes our reality just feel like a higher res version of this, right? The thing I'm saying here is you're the one behind it, the game, right? You're the creator and created simultaneously. And if you look at our reality, what happens when you zoom in on a video game? It pixelates. What happens when you zoom in on our particles? They pixelate. What is in a video game? It's all made of light. Guess what? It's all made of light here. Let's see. With a video game, someone programmed the rules. Well, what's going on with physics and all this stuff? Someone programmed everything here, right? It's all nested dolls here. It's all reflections. We're creating mini versions of what we are created, which is nested into another version and another version. It's infinite. And this is how Source plays with itself, if you will. A very healthy, sweet, nice, gentle playing with itself. It's kind, it's good, unless it's not. All right. So moving along from that, we are entering, what some people theorize as we hurtle through space on a spaceship. Essentially, we're entering a new area with a different vibration, a different frequency, a different resonance. So as we enter into that new space, it's affecting our cells. It's affecting our DNA. And that's what's happening with this spiritual awakening that is happening on this planet currently. And so that's an interesting theory. As we hurtle, we're entering new domain. New domain it's just like anything. If you go to, Alabama, it has a certain geographical energy signature, right? It feels a certain way, right? If you go to San Francisco, it has a very different energy signature. Or let's take that, Paris versus, Zimbabwe versus, every place has got its own energy, and just that would make sense. That would expand into space. And then you're feeling different in those new energies because you are energy, and it's all interacting with itself and playing and influencing itself at all times. Now, if you look for any backup, if I wanted to call in some big backup here, you look at what the masters had to say. Jesus is a great example. I believe a lot of those his teachings, I believe he was teaching this very thing. He's a teacher who taught love. He never said, I want you to make a religion and worship me and I'm better than you or separate from you. He said, actually, I and the Father are one. What am I saying? I'm God, but so are you. Right? Same thing. He also said, you will do greater things than I. So if he is one with the Father, he's God, and you'll do greater things than I. What is he actually insinuating there? Maybe that you have the same power or more, he's even suggesting in some way. What else did he say? Well, he said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. That sounds an awful lot like law of attraction to me, right? Like believe it, to be it, to see it, right? What I was talking about earlier. What you think you become. Alan Watts talked about, here we're just waking up to all this. But if you went to India and you said, oh my gosh, I realize I'm God, I'm having this awakening. They're like, basically people would say, oh, finally you remember, it's not that. This is known much more so in the East, interestingly enough. And the West is sort of just coming around. And we all have our own unique trajectories to awakening. But I thought that was an interesting one that Alan Watts pointed out. All the organized religions, which I think were, it's all perfect. It's all by divine design. So I'm not putting it down, but they're a stepping stone, I feel, to get us to this next level of realizing the thing that I think where they've missed the mark, they've created separation between us and source when actually you are it. And so that's what I think Jesus was even trying to say when they were going to kill him. They had him on trial. The last thing he said, defending himself, go look it up. The last thing he said when they said, we're about to put you on the cross. What do you have to say for yourself? How dare you claim you're God? And he said, isn't it not written in your ancient text? Talking about the Old Testament when he was referencing this. Isn't it written in the Old text, ye are gods? That was his response. I mean, it's right there in plain sight. It's just been misconstrued and, used for control and power and created separation. And that's fine. That's part of the journey. You can't know that what you are unless you know that what you are not. So I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the organized religion that has created some level of dysfunction or a lot of dysfunction and pain and separation. But we're ready to remember now, remember, come together in unity. It is all one. What I do to you, I literally am doing to an extension of self. Know that and act accordingly. That's the only rule. Just know whatever you put out is coming back because there's only one of us in the room. You're always doing it to yourself. Everywhere you go, you're there waiting for yourself. Look at, speaking of the religions, do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself is really what that they were teaching it. Christianity, Buddhism taught that same thing. Islam, Taoism, it's there. It's there hiding in plain sight. Now, if you want to go to, that's the other philosophers, what the masters have said. What about science? Well, look at the double slit experiment. That's a great, if you search double slit experiment on YouTube, you'll find a great animated video about this. Basically, I'll just sum it up. They took, I forget, protons, I believe it was, electrons, shot them through a slit with a laser. And they expected to see a pattern on the back wall, going through the slit, right? And when they were observing, they indeed saw that, right? When consciousness, i.e. the observer, wasn't present, guess what? What they found was shocking. These packets of light that are matter, in a sense, were actually, when there was no observer, the particles actually split into a state of quantum superposition or possible realities. Sound familiar? And they would create a pattern on the back of the wall of all the different possibilities, right? When consciousness would observe it, it would snap into one possibility. So this is fascinating, right? You look at the unification theory that Nassim Haramein talks about how the mass energy of a proton is the same as the mass energy of the universe, right? What an interesting coincidence. It's nested dolls. It's all the same thing nested within the same thing, expressing itself and at different scales, macrocosm, microcosm. You look at protons when they entangle. You can entangle two protons, separate them by miles, put one into outer space, do something to the one here, and that one will instantly react as if it happened to it, right? Interesting. These are the things we're made up of. We're connected. We're entangled with the people that you love. We're entangled with the entire world. Bruce Lipton wrote a wonderful book. He was actually on the show a while back. If you guys want to check out that episode, I highly recommend it. Search Positive Head and Bruce Lipton. He wrote a wonderful book called The Biology of Belief, which basically shows the science of how your beliefs create what's happened to you. You know, we've been taught it's in our genes, it's fixed. You know, your predisposition to this or that. Any of you have heard that story? Guess what? Good news. Go check out The Biology of Belief. You can check out, even on YouTube, there's an hour talk, him showing with models how this works. It's a wonderful, wonderful download to integrate into your reality that you actually turn genes off and on with beliefs. It's all malleable. You are the creator. You know, Dr. Emoto showed the same thing, that if you take water and take a purified water and then monks meditated on it, sending it love, then they take pictures of it under a high-powered microscope. It looks like a beautiful snowflake. They meditate and send hate and anger to it, and guess what? It looks like very, disorganized and ugly. So, that's sort of my rundown, guys, of what the heck is going on here. It's always good to recap and share the whys. I've come to this conclusion, but most importantly is find out for yourself, Check it out. Be open-minded enough. Experiment. Start playing. Don't believe me. Go find out for yourself, and buckle up your seatbelt if you're approaching this with an open mind, because the universe, when you're ready, your higher self says, oh, they're ready for the next level of themselves, and they're ready they've completed the class of separation. Now they're ready for coming back home to unification. Remember I said it separates out the universe, then it comes back, the breathing in and out of God. We've been through a long cycle of separation as a collective, mankind, and now it's ready for the unification again, the remembering. And the separation actually makes the remembering mean something. It gives it contrast. So it's a beautiful thing that we've been through. My own experience, some of you who've been listening, of course, I've tested this with my own calling in abundance, and from living on a friend's couch to having an Inc. 500 fastest growing private company, 569th fastest growing private company in the U.S. in 2015. Personally, I've said, my life has just been a dream. It really has. And because of the energy that I'm resonating with, I'm just calling in this good energy. The reason I do this show is it's a selfish act to some degree, because I get to bathe in this energy right now. It's why I love talking about this stuff right now so much. The fact that you're benefiting from it is even better, right? Because you are an extension of me. You are actually listening to yourself right now in another bio bodysuit. And so, I look at my own personal success with, calling in that, and of course, that's not the path for everyone, business and entrepreneurial stuff. That's just part of this avatar's journey. And I've had great success doing that, and have the things that are lined up now or even make that look small, honestly. And, personally, health. Let's say, you hear people who are always love talking about their sickness. Where attention goes, energy flows, guys. If you don't like it, give it no energy. That's the biggest thing we mess up on. You'll hear this and you're just like, oh, let's talk about what's wrong. Like health-wise, I've been saying my whole life, I'll meet someone who has the flu. They'll say, oh, stay away, I've got the flu. And I'll go give them a hug and announce, oh, I don't believe in getting sick, and hug them and blah, blah, blah. And, give all this energy to that story. Now they're hearing that story and perpetuating it energetically for me, right? And I literally can count on two hands the times I've been sick in my entire life. I've never been in the hospital since the day I was born, right? Happiness wise, personal wise, I've just been so blessed. Not to say I haven't had challenges, but I bring the right perspective to them, which transmutes them into gifts. The challenge is always a blessing in disguise when you understand. A master embraces with whatever shows up, because they know it's exactly what they need to move to the next greatest and greatest version of themselves. So they stop resisting everything and wrapping their arms around whatever shows up. This is how you take the lump of coal and turn it into a diamond. There's always a gift behind it. Your greatest challenge, there's a gift there waiting. When you change this perspective, everything's going to change for you. Everything is going to shift in what shows up. Your external is a reflection of your internal. Everywhere you go, you're there waiting for yourself. You bump up against someone who you don't like. What is this telling me about me? How can I grow from this? They're just a prop in your movie. Stop being mad at them. You call them in energetically, right? They're a prop. You're the only one in the room. It's fascinating when you start really understanding this and really driving it into your head. And we talk about it all the time, on the show, and we're going to continue, because what are we doing? We're rewiring our whole being, our neural networks in our brain. Literally, we can see scientifically how you rewire with new beliefs, connections. And it's fascinating when you understand, and start getting all these trippy experiences and synchronicities that happen nonstop. Those of you listening for a long time, of course, hear all the stories that come up and that connect with the listeners and connect with my guests, and in ways that it's layers of an onion that never stops unfolding when you're ready to start seeing things from that level. So you'll start getting messages and just things that like, hold on, how did this just happen, right? It's the universe winking back at you. It's like, oh, you're ready to see more layers to the story. You're done with the very base level version of humanity. You're ready to 2.0 yourself, all right? Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. It's happening through you. Remember that one. You have a story. You have something that happened to you that was challenging. Stop. Here's the thing. One of the most powerful tools, start telling the story how you want it to, what you want it to mean. Everything's neutral by design. So you determine whether it's positive, negative. So if you start spinning your stories, you're a creator and you start making up what it meant in a good way. Guess what? Abracadabra. As I speak, I create. And then you step into the timeline where you get the positive benefit from that challenge. You tell the story of poor me, not enough, whatever. Guess what timeline you step into? That version. Managing your vibration is the only thing that matters. It is your only job. Isn't this wonderful? Those of you who feel like, I haven't achieved an Inc. 500 fastest growing company. I am a loser. I look at him, look at them, look at the person on TV, look at the person on Instagram. Guess what, guys? You have eternity in front of you. Now, no better time than right now to turn it all around, and you have eternity to figure it out. Congratulations. Your only job is to manage your vibration. Start being it vibrationally to see it. Act as if, what would it feel like to have that relationship, that better scenario, situation, job, whatever it is you want to change, better health. Be it vibrationally. You call in the energy of it and you feel what it would feel like. And that's like a magnet to call timelines that reflect that energy to you. This is how we step through time intentionally. Instead of creating unconsciously, you're creating consciously this way, guys. This is the formula. That piece of information, learning that your only job is to manage your vibration. You don't have to go out there to do something in order to create something for yourself. That's acting on what's just a vibrational reflection of yesterday, right? So there's lag in 3D. What you want to know what you'll see tomorrow, look at what you're feeling and vibrating and resonating with today, right? So quit. It's a clean slate. You're born anew every moment, literally with every breath. You're popping in and out of existence. So right now you're born anew. What is your job? To be it, to see it. Manage your vibration. Make it a game. It's fun, right? Feel what it would feel like to have that life that you would want to see next. And then believe it, right? With the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. And do that and watch your world just completely unfold and spiral into the most beautiful, magical story of your wildest dreams. It's happened. I guarantee you. God has played it out, the version of you that is everything you could have imagined and more, and dreamed of and more. Close your eyes, approach everyone today as if they're an extension of self. Like take a moment, well, if you're driving, don't. Close your eyes. Feel what it would feel like right now for that next greatest and grandest version of yourself to already be, because it does in the eternal now on another channel called the future, which is really illusory. And tap into him or her. They exist. Call them into your now. Call their energy, and you create a quantum entanglement with them that way. And that's how you step into their skin. That's the formula. Better than a Harvard education right there. If you got that, if you start playing with that, you will see your life absolutely transform. Quit judging anyone or anything. It's exactly what it needs to be. There's never been a mistake in all of eternity. It is all happening for everyone. And you don't need to understand. You don't see the whole picture, some of the atrocities and things like that. I know that's tough for a lot of people. You don't see the whole story of that soul's journey. It is God that's so powerful and brilliant and beautiful. It's willing to experience in very intense hardship sometimes, so that when it comes through it, it actually means something to have the glory of making it being the phoenix rising from the ashes. And the story stretches well beyond this lifetime. So, getting caught up on just this life experience, it's like watching 10 seconds of a movie and then trying to understand it. You can't. All right, guys. Well, this is a good one, I think. I feel good about it. I hope you feel good about it as well. I do have a song to leave you guys with. This is a song that just came out off one of my best friends, Stefan Jacobs' new EP. It's the self-titled, the album, the EP itself is called Nonlinear, and this is the song Nonlinear. Hope you guys enjoy and love it as much as I do. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so, so, so much. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
I can't
So let's just start with the sentence that time is not linear. There has been so much that has gone before that equals the now in which you are standing. Whether you want to call that moreness time or not, the word doesn't matter. The fact is, there is the most specifically focused experience that is happening now than ever before. Because each moment in time that passes, there is more exposure to vibration. The significant thing about time is that it's always now. There has been so much that has gone before
that equals the now in which you are standing.